back to my series of guitar lessons for complete beginners. In this video we're going to be looking at how to play the classic rock riff, Smoke on the Water, on one string, and I'm also going to talk to you a little bit about how to read tab. Okay, so first of all we're going to get straight in to playing the riff. So just check you're in a nice relaxed position. We're going to play this whole riff on the D string. Remember, it's Eddie 8 Dynamite. It's this string here. The first note you pick is just the open string. And now just pick it with the thumb of your right hand for now. Then you're going to pick the third fret. I should say, whenever you're positioning your fingers on the guitar, you want to have your finger right up this side of the fret, not in the middle, not back at that side. This is where you're going to get the nicest sound. If you have it too far back, then you'll get buzzing and you have to push harder. So always best just to get it up close to the fret there. So then we've got 0, 3. Then you can either use your third finger for this, which is probably better in the long run, but to start with, if you just want to play the riff, I don't mind if you just use your first finger. So then the next note is the 5th fret of the D string. I should also maybe remind you at this point that along the neck of the guitar are little dots, little fret markers, and you have them at the 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th and 12th. They're also repeated on the fretboard here as well. This is just to help you navigate, so it should help you when you've got the guitar top down like this to be able to see which fret you're playing. So, that first little phrase again, 0, 3, 5. The next little part is going to go 0, 3, 6, 5, like this. I'll play that again. Or with just one finger. The thing to remember here actually is whenever you're learning a song or a little riff or something like this, is to break it down into these little chunks, just as I'm doing now. It's a much better idea than trying to constantly play from the beginning to the end of the piece of music, because you'll find that you get so far then get stuck, have to go back to the beginning, then by the time you get back to that bit again, you may well have forgotten how it was supposed to go. So, we've had 0, 3, 5, 0, 3, 6, 5. Let's play those two parts together. Okay, one more time. And then we're going to play 0, 3, 5 again. So you put that together, you've got 0, 3, 5, 0, 3, 6, 5, 0, 3, 5. Again, here we go. And the last two notes that you play are 3, 0. So here's the whole thing. So now I'm going to cut to a picture of some tab, and well, specifically the tab of this song Smoke on the Water on one string, and just talk you through how that works. So here you can see the standard notation at the top with the 4 and the 4 written on it, and then underneath that there's some writing which says tab. This is the guitar tablature, or guitar tab. The horizontal lines from the bottom of the page working upwards are the strings of the guitar and are Eddie 8 Dynamite Good by Eddie. Remember, the riff that we have done so far has been on the D string. Therefore, the only numbers you can see are actually just written on the D string. So to start with, we played just the open string, 0. Then we played the 3rd fret and then the 5th fret. That was the first section. The next bit we played was 0, 3, 6, 5. So that open string, 3rd fret, 6th fret, then 5th fret. You can ignore the 0 in brackets. Similarly, you can ignore the 3 in brackets in the very last bar. After playing 0, 3, 6, 5, we played 0, 3, 5, and then we played 3, 0. Okay, so now we're going to have a go at playing it on 2 strings instead. So it's going to be exactly the same frets, so you can follow the same formula. 0, 3, 5, 0, 3, 6, 5, 0, 3, 5, 3, 0. However, now you're going to be pushing down the D and the G strings at the same time. You can either use one finger like I'm doing here, and if you're going for that method, you want to bend the finger, if you can, at this last digit. I've got quite bendy fingers, so it's quite easy for me, but some people struggle a little bit with this. The position is much like you'd have if you were pressing a button. This sort of bending like that. If you bend it the other way, you end up lifting this little underside of your finger away from the strings, and then you just get a muted note. So better to have it bending that way. So if I just play that on the first time we fret the notes at the 3rd fret. That's how I've got my finger. That's useful for slightly more advanced chords, so it's worth getting used to that way. However, the first chord you play, you're not going to be doing too much barring. That's called barring when you cover 2 strings with one finger like that. Instead, you can try using 2 fingers. So here I've got my first finger on the 3rd fret of the D and my second finger on the 3rd fret of the G. And then you just follow the riff round. So I'll do it first of all with my first finger. Incidentally, you could also do the same thing with your 3rd finger as well. Or you can just use one finger. Now here it is played with the tips of your 1st and 2nd finger. I didn't mention that before, but it's the exact opposite of when you're using the one finger. Your fingers should be bent the other way at this last joint here, this distal joint, so that you can get right onto your fingertips. If you have it this time, if you have it that way, you're going to end up muting strings, which perhaps you don't want to when you play other chords. So good to get into the habit when you're using 2 fingers of getting them right up onto their tips. So here we go. So before we play this riff, I was going to talk about the right hand. As I said, we're not using the pick at the moment, so instead I want you to pinch the strings. So the thumb is playing the D string, and the first finger is playing the G string. You're pinching them both together like this. It's better to offset the fingers slightly like that. So you're kind of pushing with the thumb, pulling with the first finger, rather than like this, which means you have to sort of hard to get any purchase on the strings and make them sound loud enough. So better to have your fingers going crossways. Of course, you can play it with a pick as well. I'm not going to go too much into that right now because it requires a slightly different technique for picking with a pick, and I want to talk about that in a separate video. So, I hope you enjoy learning how to play Smoke on the Water. In the next video, we're going to start having a look at a couple of basic chords and working your way towards strumming your first song. So I hope to see you then. Bye.